Hola tribe, welcome to the House of Kai. So today is a Dear Kai question, and in the last few weeks especially, yet it's been pretty consistent over the last few years of witnessing people fear anger. And so today's question topic will be about anger. And just a little insight about it. So what I find, before I say anything else, if you like this stuff, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have Dear Kai questions or topics that you'd like some further insight or an alternative perception on, I would love to offer that to you. So please make some comments below and let me know. And let me know if you have any questions about this topic specifically as well. I know for the last few days I've wanted to meet this topic, and I'll be honest with you, I know there was a specific intention behind it at one point in time. I had channeled a message, and just like me, I didn't write it down, other than knowing I needed to have this topic. So hopefully the points of the will be covered. Again, it'll be a channeling of information. So let's see what's uncovered. So I find it very interesting, and I'm gonna go in start off on a gender basis. So we're in a very tricky time where people are, they don't like to talk gender, or their discussion of gender is outside of the realm of male and female, or that the male has to be in a male body and the female has to be in a female body. So I ask that we take all that information and place it to the side, because what I have to say is nothing. I do not look at any human being and over-identify them as a gender. I look at, I don't look at it that way. So biologically, there's male and female. You can emanate one more dominantly than the other, and there's nothing right or wrong about that at all. So you choose. If you resonate more with a feminine vibration or a masculine vibration, take the information as you will, and if it doesn't serve you, then toss it out. Don't worry about it. So what I have often noticed, in the last so many years, I've really noticed how nervous masculine energy gets when feminine energy appears to be angry, which I find quite interesting, whereas the feminine energy used to get extremely intimidated by how angry the masculine energy would get. And so there's been a lot of role gender reversal, and in the last 20 years, yet definitely in the last 10 to 15 years, we've been hit hard with an interesting dynamic of gender reversals and dynamics. I have a whole perception of what took place from a hierarchical, oops, I'm sorry about that. From a higher dimensional reality. However, let's just keep it simple for this video. So I have noticed that masculine energy gets quite intimidated when the feminine gets, what they say, angry, right? And the feminine, there's definitely feminine energy that gets quite frightened of masculine energy being angry. So let's look at this. I personally was brought up around a lot of anger and Not that I'm immune to it by any stretch of the means. I have learned to train my being to respond to anger calmly and often gentle, you know. I think that having grown up in that level of a dynamic trained me fast and well of how to deal with anger in my environment. And for those that know me, and sometimes you've heard this in my other readings and information of that, I also trained in different forms of martial arts, which have supported my healing of feeling safe in my body, having had grown up in such angry and violent ways. So the skill of martial arts had assisted me in controlling my own personal angers. And my angers were developed from a place of powerlessness, right? When you're a young child and you're in a violent, angry household, you feel very powerless. And so as you get older, that can happen in outbursts. They can be odd situations that take place, or odd emotional responses that are uncontrollable because of unhealed anger issues. So quite often when I work with clients, whether it be breath work or advisory, dealing with getting through the layers of anger, because anger is really just an umbrella word, right? So realizing that anger, more often than not, is frustration. It's a response to feeling, powerless. Anger arises when we are feeling small or weakened in a situation. And so again, it's just an umbrella term, really, and it's quite healthy. Anger can be a beautiful fuel to motivate you in specific directions. However, it can also debilitate you if you do not allow the anger to move through you and be processed. Then what often happens is we channel that anger in the wrong directions, right? Too often people can become violent or create ulcers. I know a lot of people that instead of actually processing their anger, they internalize it and have multitudes of ulcers in their body. And then I know others that instead of actually processing their anger in a healthy way, they have much more violent outbursts of acts where they harm other people because of their anger. So when we allow anger to move through us, like literally just pass through, so allow ourselves to feel that wave of anger, which truly, from my understanding of it, is just a place of frustration. It's feeling weak or not having control in a certain situation. So anytime we feel like we don't have a level of control, we can get a little angry rather than surrender to the journey, right? And realize that we have plenty of control. We have control over our emotional state and how we feel in that moment. And how we feel in that moment will direct our outcome, right? So, I do love the fake it till you make it. I'm not agreeing with that completely. However, I am saying that turning our focus on something that brings us a little bit more peace, right, than whatever is angering or burdening us at that time. Excuse me. So let's see. Let's play a little game here, right? So say we've gotten triggered by something. Something has set us off and we feel angry and we feel I love that like rage against the machine kind of feeling, right? So there's like this, rah, so angry and frustrated because that which is taking place in our reality has forced us into a situation that we don't want to have to deal with, or it has forced us into a situation that feels heavy and weighted to us, or feels like a major roadblock, right? So that can really make us angry. And so instead of coming at the situation from a place of anger, and let's be honest, you need to meet it with anger. Being angry at it is okay. Staying angry at it is what will weaken you. So, okay, you're angry at it. Good. Acknowledge anger. Acknowledge that you're angry at it. Allow yourself to breathe out heavy and growl and scream and express. Allow yourself to express the vibration of that anger. More often than not, and I would say anywhere between 70 to 90% of the time, once you get through that layer of anger or rage, actually we'll go into rage as well. When you get through that layer of anger, what often happens is there's a deep emotional purge, and we typically have a good cry, or after you get through that, the adrenal flush of that anger moves through you. You will often need to take like a nap, or some level of emotional drop will take place after having dealt with some level of anger. So it is very important to acknowledge that we have an anger or a frustration with any situation, given thing in that moment, so that we can get to the other side and have a level of clarity. So from an elemental level, anger would represent fire, right? Well, that fire, if there is no toxins in your body or no density in your body, and we'll look at density as wood, right? So if there was nothing for that anger to burn up, I can't even say attach to, but it's utilized as fuel. So if there was nothing inside of you for that anger to be utilized as fuel, then that anger would move through you pretty effortlessly. It would be a quick up and out kind of effort. If that anger comes up in you and you find yourself steaming, then it's kind of burning off some dense areas within us, right? And so we want that to happen. Those dense areas within our being are what are actually the roadblocks in that situation. The anger is because of those roadblocks that are needing to be burned off. So allowing ourselves to express our anger minimally to ourselves, whether you, like I said, cry, scream, do breath work. As you've heard me say before, breath work is like an adult temper tantrum. Utilizing a complete constant breathing pattern, right? So it's this like circular or a figure 8 breathing pattern, and you just keep going and going and going and going until you meet a wave of, you think you can't breathe anymore, or you meet a wave of frustration, and then you scream, kick, pound, and so this level of vibration breaks through barriers and limitations, and then you're able to breathe again, a complete connected breath. So it's and again, you don't do this standing up for the most part unless you're trained in it. This is something you do laying down on the ground. Only those that are well trained in breath work would I ever say should be challenging themselves to utilize a complete connected breathing pattern while being active. It's very intense, and it makes you, it actually makes you hallucinate. There's a level of, it brings you to transcendental states of consciousness. So it's best to be used on the ground for those who are not well trained in it. And so as you move through these like dense layers, the anger representing the element of fire starts to burn all this denseness and the toxins and chemicals that are in the system, blocking the fluidity of the breath pattern, because what moves fire is breath, right? So If you're angry and holding your breath, you're actually making it worse, right? It's like a simmering kettle waiting to boil. And I think that's actually what happens to a lot of people when they create ulcers inside of their own being. Instead of allowing that fire to fully ignite, to fully process through, they stifle it. And it internalizes, creates like little mini internal volcanoes inside of your digestive tract and inside of your body. And then you have others that will have outbursts of anger later on. So anger is meant to be burned through. Now, I love this. I got this visual a long, long time ago that rage is beautiful. Wow, so many people are frightened. You think people are intimidated of anger, they're even more intimidated of rage, or the word rage. And I think it's interesting because I think rage is one of the most beautiful things that any human being could potentially meet in their life. So I think of anger as spitfires, right? They're ways for us to create separation from other people. So a lot of times when somebody gets angry, they go, no, don't do that. And they act out and they kind of like, it feels like a shove. It feels energetically like somebody shoving you and trying to create space, right? So when somebody gets angry, it often feels like they're like shoving at you or pushing you away, or even possibly trying to make you angry because they're so angry, right? Because, well, that's a whole different reasoning, but that's one of many reasons is somebody, what I'm seeing is oftentimes somebody is angry because of a lack of response from somebody else. And so when an angry person is trying to make another person angry, it's really a test of love. They want to know how much that person cares about them and how much they love them. And so it's just basic. All wounds really are created from our childhood. And when we have these moments, we respond and behave in childlike ways. And so what is usually happening, if somebody is trying to get you to be angry because they are in fact angry, then what they're really doing is testing to see how much you love them and how worth the fight are they, right? So if somebody's angry and they want you to respond in anger, they want an energetic connection. It's really just a magnetic pull. They want to see how angry you'll get, so to see if you love them enough to fight the fight. And so when you don't respond in anger, that person will try multitudes of ways in order to create an anger to see if you will respond that way. Unfortunately, that is not a healthy love. That is a child's version of seeking love, and it is a child's way of seeking attention. And so those who stand in authentic love, when dealing with somebody who's extremely angry and trying to set them off in an angry way, often will not respond with anger. They'll respond with more kindness, or a more centered way of being, which can make the other person even more angry, because in their mind, and I heard in their warped mind, but in their warped perception, they think they're being unloved. Sad but true. Sad but true. So if you're in a dynamic, in a situation where somebody's getting angry and they're shooting off all these different ways to try to get you to respond in an angry way, the best way to confront that, and there's so many different ways I'm sure of, to kindly speak to them and acknowledge that you're dealing with a child's emotional response. So what I do personally in those situations is when I have an adult responding in anger, I often drop in and get very centered. It doesn't matter what they're saying. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I am capable of doing that is because of my fighting training. Prior to my training in martial arts, I would not have been able to do that. I would have been in a fight or flight response, thinking that I was going to be physically attacked or abused in some way. So I know that this is not common for everyone. Believe me, I know. I used to freeze in those moments, being concerned that I would be harmed in some way or that it would be uncontrollable. So it's not always possible. However, if capable, when somebody's in a place of an outburst of anger, getting very centered, breathing into center, and simply asking yourself the question, play a game with yourself, because there really, if it's not going to turn into a violent attack, and more often than not, it's really not going to. Most people just spew the anger and they don't actually respond in violence, but that's not always the case. And I have been on the other side of that, so I know that's not always the case. However, if you know that this person's, in the center of your being, you know this person is not going to act violently, that they're just screaming out loud, then drop in, get centered, and simply breathe and allow yourself to now realize that this is like a game, and you're not playing a game, but allow that part of you to know that you are safe, and simply ask yourself the question, how old is this person showing up as? And when I mention game, it's in this moment of allowing your inner creativeness, right? The game is allowing the inner creativity to come through. And whatever age first comes to mind is usually the appropriate age, right? So more often than not, somebody could be yelling at me and I just ask myself the question of, what age is this person showing up as? And more often than not, we have like a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, right? Sometimes a teenager, but more often it's something under 10. And so in that moment, I then speak to them as if they were that age. I address the conversation from a place of acknowledging that their wounded child is who's speaking to me, and I allow myself to speak to that being as that child's age. And more often than not, it not so much derails them, but it takes their weapons away, right? They no longer keep responding in that place of anger. I've now dismantled them because I'm acknowledging exactly where they are. And you can look at this as often a narcissistic thing. This shows up a lot when dealing with narcissism, that the narcissist will approach you from a wounded child perception. And so instead of offering authentic love, they offer anger and childish attention gaining things. So, that's a lot. Let's see. So anger is a beautiful form of communication when channeled appropriately. What was just discussed was when it's channeled inappropriately and how to handle it so that you know how to maneuver through conversations with angry people. Now, when you yourself are processing anger, then it is in your best interest to allow yourself to express it to the best of your ability, as we've discussed, in that moment, and then get to the other side of it so that you can, get to the true core of the sadness or pain or fear, because anger is just rooted in fear of not having control. That's it. So we're usually frustrated and feeling powerless. That's anger right there. Now, excuse me. So, let's see. So anger is typically frustration, right? Now, that was it. Rage. That's what I need to go back to. Okay. So anger is usually like little spitfires, right? It's kind of like, you're not paying attention to me. You don't like me. I hate you. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like all this little like BS spitfires. And really what it is like that person's like pushing you, trying to get a response. Now that's when it's engaged with another person, when you yourself have had a situation take place that there's no one in front of you anymore, but you're angry because of a given situation. So now it's within you, that anger, even if that person or the situation is not presently in front of you, that's you trying to push it away, and you're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere not facing that anger, and so we have to face that anger to get to the other side, through it, right? You can't go over it, you got to go through it. So what I love about rage, it's such a beautiful thing. I look at rage as the next level, and why is because it's all these spitfires. Rage is multitudes of little volcanic spitfires of anger that finally have connected the dots. And so rage is so beautiful that it's like this inferno that literally you get to a place of like, you just throw down new boundaries, new structural lines of integrity within your being, right? So when we've gotten through just little bits of anger, and when we finally it's like, okay, I have surrendered. There is multitudes of things I can be angry at right now, and all of them line up with X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C. They all succinctly connect these dots that now it's like I have this level of internal rage. Rage makes change. Rage creates boundaries, right? So rage can be absolutely beautiful and magical when harnessed appropriately. When it is something you have claimed within you rather than utilizing it to do outbursts outside of you. So when that internal rage is connected and you use it as a fuel and a momentum to move you forward, it's beautiful. When there are people who have, outbursts of rage, it's interesting because, again, that it's outbursts of rage are, again, just like child needing attention. And so I'm looking at different things that have happened in the last year alone. I almost don't even want to bring them up, but witnessing the outbursts of different anarchist groups, or the burning of buildings, or what appears to be rage. And on some level it is rage, but that's a child's version of rage that is making it something that's outside of you, rather than taking accountability for the internal connection that's really tapping into. So, those that have felt frustrated because of what they deemed limited power within the matrix, within the system, they have gone outwardly to express it at the detriment of other people. And so healthy, pure rage is when you take all that powerlessness and frustration and you bring it inside of you, and you set internal flames so that you can create change, right? You can create change from within. So earlier I mentioned something about faking it to make it. And so I want to bring that point of attention back, because when we're in a place of anger or rage, if you are standing, and I'm thinking of Abram Hicks right now. If you're not familiar with Abram Hicks, it's a beautiful, it's like getting in vibrational alignment in order to create from. And so I have said it many of times, and I'll say it continually, that you create from where you stand. So if you are angry, you're only going to create anger. If you're feeling chaos, you're only going to create more chaos. You cannot create unity from a place of separation. You cannot create peace from a place of rage, right? You can create healthy new boundaries from a place of rage. Because think about it, integrity lines, and I'd rather say integrity lines than boundaries, but integrity lines are created from rage, right? And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So I don't want people to look at it as a negative. I want them to understand that there is good that comes from destruction, especially when that destruction is coming from self-love or kindness to oneself, or the intention is to create more love, right? If somebody is creating based off of, if their internal drive is power, if their internal drive is to have more power over another human being, or if their internal drive is to harm another human being, then all they're going to do is create more of that in their own reality. Yeah. So you create from where you stand. So the whole fake it to make it thing, I don't want you to fake it, but I do want you to turn your attention to a vibration that brings you more acceptance than trying to fight. So I know for myself, I've recently had a situation come up, or actually a few situations come up, that the version of me that wants to defend, or you want to like fight it, had to go through this place of anger and rage and frustration and sadness, and meet all the little aspects of the situation with consciousnly, and then ask myself the questions of, why do I feel like this? Well, because I created it. I allowed it. I have to allow it to burn off inside of me. Things that are no longer worthy of being inside of me. They need to go, right? They need to go. And so the more I allow that frustration to be with myself, right? I'm frustrated with me, not this outside force of energy that's testing me. I'm frustrated with me. Even though some of my outbursts may have been, some of my expressions may have been outwardly in different moments in time, the majority of it has been inwardly, and taking the accountability for my own personal frustrations, so that I can come to a place of gratitude. Witnessing the experiences and being really grateful that they've appeared. There are certain things that I may not have cleared up in my world if I didn't have this situation take place. So instead of being angry and raging against the machine at these outside forces, I'm quite grateful that I am being presented with them. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to hit my frustrations because it's going to be a process of getting everything cleared out. You know, it's layers of things. And it'll be a dance. However, anger is just frustration, right? Feeling of powerlessness. And so, what do you feel powerless about? Right? What do you feel powerless about? Controlling outcomes? Controlling people's emotions? Controlling stability? Controlling how other people perceive us? Right? What is it that you feel so powerless about? And meet that, and allow that umbrella of anger a voice. It's meant to have a voice, but it's a voice for you. It's not a voice that needs to be stifled, and it's not a voice that needs to be outwardly expressed in a way of harming other human beings. Can you process it and siphon through it internally so that you can burn it off in a healthy way and create new levels of integrity lines within your own being from a place of love, right? So again, if you've met that umbrella of anger, we want to work on transitioning it to a place of acceptance, that it's in our present reality. And so how do I accept it even more, and how do I face it even more, and allow it to be my own? And it's not anyone else's responsibility but your own, right? Yeah. So anger is just typically a place of powerlessness and frustration. And so, wow, I love how channeling goes. It just pours out. And so now I'm hearing the whole male-female thing again. And coming back to the original, see, that's how it works, it comes full circle, is that I find it interesting how often men look at women and they see anger, right? And I can't tell you how many women I've had this discussion with, and we laugh and laugh and laugh. Men love, absolutely love, when they see a woman in a place of passion, right? Especially when that passion is being directed towards them, right? It's if they want it, if they want this person to have a level of like passion that is drive, bringing them closer together for like an intimate partnership, or they want to see this person have like passion towards their work. You know, people really do, men love witnessing a feminine in her passion. However, they get really, really frightened when they see a woman express passion from a place of frustration. And that's really funny to me, because how often men will draw back and they just think, oh, you're angry. No, I'm passionate. It's an outburst of passion. It's an expression of fire. That's all it is an expression of fire. It's not meant to be contained. In fact, it's meant to be burned off so that I can get to the other side of it. So I think that the masculine energy thinking it has to contain the passion, it doesn't have to contain the passion. And I can understand that, you know, men who want to be in intimate relationships with the masculine who wants to be in an intimate relationship with the feminine, they want to be able to hold the container for the feminine, so that, and if they find that in her moments of extreme passion, of expression, they don't know how to contain it, then they, on some level, feel emasculated, right? They feel less than because they weren't capable of holding the container. Well, I'm sorry, but if you've ever seen a fire pit the fire comes outside of the container. Right? So I think of what I have. I have a cauldron, right? So one of my fire pits is an actual cauldron, gorgeous 100-year-old cauldron. And so that cauldron burns outside of the container, and it's meant to. I want it to. And so allow ourselves to realize that the expression of passion is meant to come outside the container. Don't shy away from it. Don't be afraid that you are not capable of holding the container for the feminine during her moments of extreme passionate expressions. Allow yourself to know that, just bask in the joy of witnessing her in her process. You don't have to fix it. In fact, we are now in this beautiful place where the male and female energies within each of us are, it's this sovereignty, it's self-sovereignty. And so to, having this outburst of passionate expression, not seeking an outside force to fix it for me, or the feminine is not looking for an outside force to fix that, or tame that passion. Allow it to burn through and just witness it and be in the awe of the expression of it, right? And I would say the same for the feminine. So I think if anything, feminine energy these days is actually hoping for more passion to be expressed within the masculine energy. I think that men had, in the role reversal or in the balancing of the energies, I think what I see most out there is a lot of masculine energy no longer allowing themselves to get to that place of extreme passion or anger. And because they're not actually getting to those places, they're kind of watered down. It's like passionless. So they're taking that fire and using it in other ways. So rather than, and this is not everyone, because I'm now thinking of like tons and tons and tons of different men I have seen out there that have taken that passion and put it into like creative unbelievableness. They are taking that frustration and they're finding creative outlets, and it's absolutely gorgeous and it's a beautiful balance. Then I'm also seeing what I was referring to a moment ago is a lot of masculine energy. So instead of allowing themselves to get frustrated and want something beyond their current situation, they often take that anger and they just put it into sex. So creative energy is coming from our sacral chakra, right? And that's like one-on-one relationships, sacral and root chakra areas, so the two lower chakra, denser vibrational areas. And so instead of allowing that anger to move through them and create from that place, realizing that women really are not as afraid or intimidated by their anger anymore. Now that this major shift has happened, we're actually, quite comfortable with anger. I know I am extremely comfortable with anger. So instead of allowing themselves to express that anger in a healthy outlet, what they're doing is they kind of like, it's like this feeling of like, F it. I'm not gonna waste my energy getting angry. I'm just gonna go bang some chick. I'm gonna go use somebody, but the realization of that's anger. They're taking their anger and using it in a sexual manner, which they don't understand that in those moments, they're actually taking that anger and putting it inside of another human being, right? So the masculine energy, the sexual organ being external. So whether you're having sex with a female or a man, male or female, you're still penetrating through, and you're now, it's like a rod of energy going into that other human being, and you're putting those seeds of anger inside of them instead of actually utilizing it and expressing it in a healthy way. So there's different ways of expressing that anger. But as I said, I'm seeing more and more men starting to take that frustration and these angers and utilize them in a more creative way, which is absolutely beautiful. But the imbalanced version of that is oftentimes, yes, it can be through violence. It can be through, trying to claim power over another human being, and that's sex. Claiming power over another human being could be through fists or through sexual energy, right? So realize that. So the unhealthy version of expressing of one's frustrations and angers and limitations can be through violent acts or sexual acts. And so can we take that energy, and again, that's masculine or feminine. There are plenty of females out there, and I'm thinking of a few right now, that use sex as a weapon as well. So instead of actually processing their anger, they're looking, and they're just looking to get fucked, because it allows them to feel that anger move through them, and it makes them believe that they're processing it when they're really not in a healthy manner. Or more often than not, they're not. So, allowing ourselves to meet our anger and channel it appropriately. And quite honestly, it's an inside job. So, taking anger and using it to penetrate you, right? Allow it to move through your own personal being. That internal fire is meant to burn out like the logs or density within you elementally, right? You need the air and the fire to help burn things up, but it's like these dense energies that need to be burned up. So instead of expressing our anger outwardly or with another human being, can we do it internally? And again, it's okay to have little moments of outbursts, but acknowledge what those are. If I am in the presence of somebody and I have a passionate outburst of anger or rage, being frustrated about anything, person, place, or thing in my life, those that know me know well enough that I will flip out a little bit, and then as I'm in the flip out, I will literally say, I know this is because of such and such and such and such, and but I'm just frustrated, right? So even in my outbursts of tantrum in front of other people, I have enough consciousness to know that that is exactly what I'm doing. And so I give thanks. Thinking of one person right now, I have a neighbor that, God bless him, that he has witnessed he has witnessed outbursts of anger. And in my outbursts, I literally will say to him that, thank you for holding space for me. And I'll be yelling and growling at it, it's like, thank you for holding space for me, and I'm so sorry that you're witnessing this experience, and I just need to get it off my chest, and and I ramble. And they're kind enough to listen to me. And hold space, and beautiful enough to say, like, no, it's a beautiful expression of rage. I feel very grateful that he has actually spoken to me and said that he believes that I channel anger better than any other human being he's witnessed. And so I'm very appreciative to hear that, because I've done a lot of work to identify anger and heal it. Right? Yeah. I know there's always more work. To do. However, meeting anger with truth and love and ownership, it's yours, right? The emotion that's moving through your body is your emotion. Don't run from it. Don't act out on it. Learn how to process it through, and acknowledge in the moment of communication. It's okay to have outbursts of it, as long as we communicate to the people that we're in the moment with that that's what we're doing. If you're outbursting and still doing the blame game, and not owning your expression of that emotion, then you're just having a child tantrum. And if you are on the other side of witnessing that child tantrum or experiencing that person, then allow yourself to drop in and give that person's expression an age. How old are they behaving right now? You know, a 7-year-old needing dad's attention, needing discipline, needing a hug, whatever it is. Speak to them as if they were your child in that moment, because that's how they're showing up, right? So, and that's love. You know, that's love. That's the love they authentically seek, because what they're seeking is love. They just have a false perception of how to, of what love looks like in that moment, right? That's all. That's all. Whew, well, thank you so much. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. I'd love to hear your comments below. If you're still hanging with me, it's almost, it's 15 minutes in. If you're still hanging with me through this channeling and rant about anger, there is so much fire in this room energy right now. I can't even get over it. I would love, love, love to hear questions, comments, concerns, and if there's another topic that you want me to talk about, I would love that. I would love, love, love that. Thank you so much. Thanks, tribe. I love you very, very much. And as always, till next time. Mwah. Peace out, y'all.